getting selected for the biggest iGaming event of the year for the first pitch competition is just nothing short but amazing. What SBC is doing for the startup community in a whole is really helpful. And just getting your name out there and being able to present, this really makes a difference.
Hey, this is Jesse here, and this is the official SBC First Pitch preview episode. In this one, we meet the 5 startups that will compete live on stage at the SBC Summit in Lisbon on September 24th for a prize package valued at over 100,000 euros. We're also joined by industry legend Sue Schneider from SBC, who gives us some insight into the process of running the First Pitch competition, as well as a rundown on the startup sphere that will be featured on the agenda at this year's event. By the way, if you still need a ticket for the SBC Summit, get 300 euros off yours by using discount code BettingStartupsVIP. Look in the show notes for a link to get your ticket, and I'll look forward to seeing you there. The Betting Startups podcast is presented by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. 4 out of the top 5 US operators personalize player experiences with Optimove. Learn more about Optimove by requesting a demo at optimove.com/bettingstartups. If you like what you see, you'll get your first month free. All right, we are back with episode 129 of the Betting Startups podcast, which is our first pitch preview episode, where we'll meet the founders of the 5 startups that have been named as finalists at next month's pitch competition at the SBC Summit in Lisbon. The conference, which is being called the greatest show in gaming, will welcome over 25,000 delegates from September 24th to 26th, with a packed program and agenda for the 3-day show, which of course, as part of the agenda, includes the first pitch competition, where the 5 companies will present to a live judging panel for a prize package valued at over 100,000 euros. To help shed a little bit more light on what startups can expect from SBC Summit, I'm very excited to be joined by my friend and VP of Growth and Strategy for the Americas at SBC, Sue Schneider. Sue, it's a privilege to welcome you onto the Betting Startups podcast. It's been a couple of months since we've caught up, though, so just to check in at the start here, how's your summer been?
Good. Hot, but good. And I just came back from New Orleans, so that's always fun.
I'm wondering, Sue, if you can talk about, I guess, the first pitch submissions that you received this year for the event. And we're going to have the 5 finalists show up on this episode to give us a bit of insight into what they're up to. But I understand, as always, it was a very competitive field with a lot of quality submissions from entrepreneurs all around the world. Wondering if you could sort of speak to sort of what you and the judges saw in terms of submissions for this edition of First Pitch.
Sure. It was a really wide variety. First of all, we had close to 40 submissions from 18 different countries, actually. So it was very global. I don't think there was a continent that we missed in terms of having an applicant from that particular region. So it was really good from that standpoint. And it really was across the board in terms of what you might expect. It's everything from games, new games, to AI, to a number of data companies that take a little different twist on all of this. And it went across products. It's from sports betting to casino games to lottery. So it was a pretty good representation, I think, of the whole industry, and something a little bit for everything in terms of what the judges saw with the overall submissions.
Yeah, I have to say, based on the 5 finalists, which we'll meet after this introduction here, there really was, it struck me, a diversity of applications and I guess types of companies, to your point, right, across different verticals, across different business models, et cetera. So I think it really speaks to the fact that there's a lot of new interesting ideas and new approaches being taken, and certainly a lot of use of new technologies as well, right? AI, of course, being chief amongst those. Wondering, Sue, if you can maybe talk more generally about the evolution and growth of the first pitch competition. I mean, SBC has been running it for a number of years now, both in the US at the US show and, of course, now at the large show in Lisbon. And I guess just, what does first pitch mean to SBC? And I guess how do you sort of think about, SBC's commitment to supporting and nurturing industry startups and entrepreneurs?
Well, I think innovation is something that can be a challenge in our industry. It's an ongoing issue to try to keep up with new ways of doing things, new products that are going to be of interest to the players out there. So we started 3 years ago, I believe, with our North American show. with doing a startup competition, which we called at that time First Pitch. And we've run one in Canada. This will be our second one to run at the global event, last year in Barcelona and this year in Lisbon. And it's really, really critical. I think we're fortunate that we do have a lot of companies that are open to new ideas and wanting new ideas. So from that standpoint, I know in May we ran one, as you well know, because you helped host that one, and it was kind of standing room only in there to be able to get a sense of what's out there. And we're fortunate to have a fair number of investors also that are involved with our events and come to see what's the latest and greatest. So it's an opportunity to try to do some matchmaking and make sure that the founders that are out there are able to hopefully move forward with some resources.
Yeah, I have to say, speaking with all of the founders that have participated in previous installments of First Pitch, just the boost that they'll get from the participation, the visibility, and it's just such a large platform for them to be on. To your point, I mean, the room is full of investors, there's representatives and, senior stakeholders from a lot of operators, which are potential customers for many of these startups. So it really does move the needle in a meaningful way for a lot of these companies. And it's fantastic for me to be a part of it in a very small way, and really great to see SBC's commitment to nurturing that early stage ecosystem within the industry. Final thing I want to just quickly touch upon, Sue, before we meet the 5 finalists is SBC Summit, as I said at the outset here, the greatest show in gaming. It has a packed agenda over 3 days. There is so much going on. What can you talk about or share with the audience that might be relevant for, startup founders specifically beyond the First Pitch program? I know there's the startup sphere. I'm just wondering if you can, quickly speak to, I guess, what within that packed agenda might be relevant or useful for early stage founders attending the event.
Well, clearly there are going to be a number of conference sessions that are going to be pertinent, whether it be related to payments or marketing or player engagement, kind of across the board with that. So there's always something in there looking at investments and things like that I think would be of interest to startups that are coming. We also started this year a startup sphere on the show floor. So there's going to be a zone that is set up for, I don't know if anybody's been to South by Southwest, but they have something similar there a lot of times where there are, small areas for startups to get in at a really reasonable price. So SBC has made the commitment there to make space for that. I think they're close to selling out. They had space for 16. I think they're sold out, and I think they're trying to carve out a little bit more space for some additional ones. So that'll be a good opportunity, I think, to meet a number of the people that are there. So, that's the sort of thing between that and the conference content. There'll be plenty of opportunities to meet folks that I think will be helpful to them, either as investors, as potential partners, as potential customers. So you really kind of get the whole spectrum there.
I want to thank you, Sue, for joining us and helping tee up this episode. And looking forward to seeing you and the rest of the team in Lisbon in a few short weeks. Safe travels over, and we will now meet our 5 finalists for the SBC Summit First Pitch competition.
Great. Thank you.
All right, let's get the First Pitch preview episode started. We are going to meet the first of the 5 finalists for the First Pitch competition. It is my pleasure to welcome Adam from Random State. Adam, welcome to the Betting Startups podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Jesse, for having me.
Of course, and first and foremost, congratulations to you and your team for being named as one of the finalists in the First Pitch competition. As always, it was a very competitive field, so even being named as a finalist is a small achievement unto itself. Of course, you're there to win. So why don't you share a little bit with the audience about what Random State is and a little bit about your background to get us started today?
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. Well, I'm from Sweden. I have a background in the lottery and online bingo operations side. I started watching the boom in the online casino industry, and I was quite envious just seeing how it was growing. And I was quite frankly frustrated by the tech and the content that's offered to us as lottery operators from the supplier side. So, only 5% of a $300 billion USD industry is online still. And most of this is because of factors due to legacy systems and traditional retail models. In 2021, we founded Random State, and we started to develop our own iGaming platform focusing on bingo and lotteries. And we tried to build a platform I always wanted, user-friendly, innovative, flexible, that we could, make great things happen. And during the development phase, we managed to sell in this vision, you could say, to a couple of Swedish operators. So we got 3 contracts straight away, launching full service for them and building the bespoke products for them. In 2023, we developed our gamification module that we are very, very proud of in the platform. And it's part of our DNA, you could say. It allows us to build, our content, our games that we call skills and thrills games. So they are a mix between casual gaming and real money gaming, but without the skills parts affecting the RNG, which makes it very, very exciting. And it makes it easier from a compliance perspective as well, of course. Players playing our games can progress through levels, they can get achievements, they can get boosters, they can get in-game currency, and they can compete on leaderboards. All this, makes it really, really interesting and appealing to a broader sort of instant audience and Gen Z as well. And the first data numbers when we got the games out is that, they really stand out in retention numbers. And also from the operator side, they stand out. So they make also good products for being unique and being a great acquisition tool since they can stand out and be something different in the product offerings. And if we fast forward to today, we have our own proprietary iGaming platform up and running. We have a great multiplayer bingo product that we try to also add our gamification elements to. And we have our unique instant games portfolio with 12 games. And we try to launch one new game every month. The strategy and the focus where we are at the moment is that, a lot of operators really want our games and they love our games. So it's just to get the practical things done. And that is, got contracts with some of the biggest aggregators now in the industry. And we also have secured contracts with some of the WLA operators as well. This summer, we launched our first games outside Sweden with Norsk Tipping, the Norwegian state lottery. And in 2025, we honestly expect to be live in 10 to 12 markets, including US and Canada. And of course, we try to do it by the book and, only targeting regulated markets.
Excellent. Well, sounds like a very unique proposition. Sounds like you're getting some fantastic early traction with it. So congratulations on all the progress, Adam. We're a few weeks away still from the first pitch competition in Lisbon. So between now and then, give us a little bit of insight into how you're preparing for the 3 minutes that you'll have up on stage to present the random state opportunity to the judges.
Yeah, it's said it is a quite broad value proposition we have, but I want to educate the industry about the lottery market that it's everything that can get digitalized will be digitalized. The casino market online is 50 to 20% of the total revenue. And as I said, the online is only 5% and it's growing double digits online. So it's more or less, that we are positioned for a great vertical within the iGaming industry. That's what I want to get the message out there and try to find some great partners to help us with this journey.
Excellent, Adam. Well, thank you so much for joining here today, giving us a bit of a preview of Random State and I suppose the pitch that you'll be delivering in a few weeks. And I look forward to meeting you in person then. So all the best and safe travels and see you soon.
Thank you so much, Jesse.
All right. Up next here on the First Pitch preview episode, I am joined by Tom from SavageTech, who is based in Berlin. Evening time for you today, Tom, in Berlin. I appreciate you joining and accommodating my time zone here on the west coast of North America. Just to check in at the starting line today, how are you feeling being named as a finalist for the First Pitch competition? Of course, by the way, congratulations on that. How are you feeling, I guess, just with the recent news that SavageTech was one of the 5 companies chosen to present in Lisbon next month?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for having me. Getting selected for probably the biggest iGaming event of the year for the First Pitch competition is just nothing short but amazing. It is absolutely exciting for us to be there and to be able to present our company and our vision, our product in front of such a large audience. And the panel of judges, they do pack a lot of expertise as well. What SBC is doing for the startup community in a whole is really helpful. Just getting your name out there and being able to present, this really makes a difference.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again on being named as a finalist. For the audience watching and listening today, Tom, can you give us a bit of an insight into what you and your team are up to with SavageTech? What's the value proposition? How's the traction going? Just give us a shortened version of the pitch, I suppose, that you'll give in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 42 years old. I have 2 kids. I've been a gamer all my life. I've co-founded 2 of Germany's largest or biggest esport teams, Mousebots and Big Clan. And throughout the time when I first joined the gambling industry, which was in 2007, I managed and or co-founded 4 different esports betting platforms, right? And throughout these years, I always thought that it should be enough just to offer esports markets in order to attract and retain the new generation of gamers, generation Y and Z. But at Unicorn, we saw that we needed a little bit more help, and this is how we came up with this idea that we are packing everything that makes gaming so exciting for this new generation into a B2B SaaS company where we are creating, or where we have created, an iframe overlay that we can put on top of a sportsbook and or a casino. And what we basically did was we put an entire game, a role-playing game. Think of it as a 2D version of World of Warcraft, and users receive an avatar and they get to progress on the game layer. And anytime they're doing something that is good for the operator, such as placing a bet, depositing money, using the casino. And yeah, so far the reception of the industry, of the B2C operators, has nothing but amazing, to be honest.
Excellent. I just want to ask about that for a second, Tom, because esports is still such a huge growth area. And a quick plug also, I do know some other folks in Berlin building in esports. I'll shout out the Grid team and Moritz and those guys there, doing some fantastic stuff on the data side within esports. But again, just, with respect to the feedback you're getting from some of these operators that you're speaking with, esports is really identified as a growth area. Talk a bit more about the response you're getting in these conversations and I guess what they see esports representing to the growth potential of their business.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, shout out to Moritz as well. He's one of my closest friends and he's doing an exceptionally great job at Grid. Esports, we saw it during the pandemic, right? Suddenly there was no inventory anymore and esports was the only thing that people could bet on. And from the conversations that we had with operators, it makes up to 10% of the overall trading volume, which is huge, right? And obviously I'm living in Western Europe. King football still reigns supreme, but I think it's another puzzle piece that an operator needs to have in its inventory in order to really have the full portfolio in order to attract the new generation. And the responses from the operators every time we presented the solution to them, and we are talking to industry veterans of over 20, 25 years, they are all astounded. We are the first company that actually have been doing something like this, and it's not a superficial gamification but rather an in-depth gamification. And we are integrating currently with 4 brands already, so PMF seems to be achieved.
Excellent. And when you get to Lisbon next month and present the opportunity to the live judging panel up on stage there, you get 3 minutes, which goes very fast. So my question here to finish this up for today, Tom, is how are you preparing your presentation? And I guess, what's your thought process going into this live pitching opportunity at the First Pitch competition?
That is an awesome question. I think in the past, I made some mistakes in that regard. I think when it comes to being on stage and you have such a short amount of time, right? Lots of pictures, as little text as possible, and really try to convey your personal story and narrative, how you ended up creating this company. I think at the end of the day, that is the only thing that I can do within 3 minutes. And then, of course, smile, be friendly to the judges, and hopefully the questions that they are asking you actually make sense.
Excellent. Well, I'm, for one, very excited to see your pitch in a few short weeks. So thank you very much for giving us a bit of a preview today, and look forward to meeting you in person in a few weeks in Lisbon, Tom.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it as well. It's the biggest event of the year, so I'm very excited, to be honest.
Next up here, we have a somewhat familiar face and voice to members of the audience who have listened to previous versions of the First Pitch preview episode. We have Shawn here from StatX Sports, who joined us this past May. He was chosen as a finalist at the SBC Summit North America event and delivered what I thought was an awesome presentation at the New Jersey show. And he has been chosen as a finalist once again for the SBC Summit on an even bigger stage in Lisbon in a few weeks. So Shawn, first and foremost, welcome back to the podcast. How you been keeping since we last saw you a few months ago?
Thanks, Jesse. I'm excited to be here. We're really excited to go to Lisbon. It'll be my first time there. I appreciate you saying we had a good presentation last time, but I guess it wasn't good enough, so we'll have to make it a little bit better this time.
Well, congratulations on making the cut. As always, hyper-competitive field. Getting, even shortlisted as one of the 5 is an achievement unto itself. Of course, you're making the long trip from Atlanta, right? Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
Atlanta,
Georgia.
Atlanta to Lisbon. So you're making a long commute to go do this again, which is a bit of a commitment to the cause here. And I guess, again, for folks listening, they will probably remember StatX Sports, but for those that maybe don't remember, can you give them a quick high-concept overview and I guess an abbreviated version of the pitch of what you're up to?
Yeah, sure. We at StatX Sports, we supply odds, we supply data products to sports betting operators, to media companies, to sports teams, leagues, anybody who wants them. If a podcast asks, sure, you guys can have some too. And what we're targeting is what you might call second tier sports or alternative sports, things that the big guys are not super laser focused on, things like cricket, Formula One, MMA, women's sports. And so we found a huge opportunity here because a lot of the big operators, a lot of big data providers are not focusing on these sports. And a lot of that reason is because there traditionally hasn't been a lot of betting, or at least a lot of online betting for these sports. And operators and the big data providers will build their own models for the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB, English Premier League soccer. But there's a huge swath of sports that are growing. Betting volumes are growing as people are moving from offline to online. And so we're starting with cricket. And so what we found, cricket's the second biggest sport in the world. Most of the betting traditionally has been offline, but as smartphone penetration is increasing in South Asia, especially, we're seeing a huge amount of betting going online. It's doubling every year, and it's been doing that for the last almost 5 years now.
I was just going to say, since we last saw you, actually, we had the Cricket World Cup over the summer, and actually, I would say that the interest in cricket's really been accelerating, largely due to the US's performance in that tournament. So are you seeing a bit of a lift or a bit of a bump in general interest in cricket on the back of that tournament?
Yeah, so this has been a huge boon for us, especially, the US, Team USA, let's go guys, their performance there. It's really increased interest in cricket, both in the US, but also in other Western economies in Europe. And so we've actually had a lot of operators and data providers come to us and say, hey, we don't have a solution for cricket, or we don't have a good solution for cricket. Can you help us? And so we're working with a lot of those guys now.
Super exciting, Shawn. And I want to ask as well, given that you've had one rep in before pitching at SBC, how are you preparing for this next opportunity here in Lisbon? Anything you're changing up or anything you might try different in terms of approach? Just how are you approaching the preparation for this opportunity?
Yeah, so I think the main difference between us now and then is that we have a lot more focus. Have a much greater understanding of what the market opportunity is and the product that operators and these data providers want from us. And so I think you'll see we're much farther along than we were, and our product really is a differentiator. It's, we're taking a Silicon Valley approach to a problem that people have been trying to solve since before the iPhone started.
As I said at the beginning here, I thought your pitch in May was fantastic. One thing I personally really remember about it, and it made it memorable, is you injected a little bit of humor into the pitch, which really, I think, disarmed a lot of the judges, probably helped yourself relax. I thought that was a great approach. I hope to see a bit of humor again. Obviously, do what you're going to do here, but wishing you all the best in a few weeks. Safe travels over, and look forward to seeing you again in person, Shawn.
Thanks, Jesse. Appreciate it.
And next up on the SBC First Pitch preview episode, I am joined by Radek from Match Hype. And some listeners or viewers might recognize the name Match Hype because they recently won another startup pitch competition a couple of months ago at IGB Amsterdam. So hot off that conference with the victory in hand, they've been selected as one of the 5 finalists for SBC Summit in Lisbon. So Radek, congratulations on the previous win. Congratulations as well on being named as a finalist for SBC. You, my friend, happen to be sailing right now in the middle of the ocean in the Adriatic Sea. So thank you for joining. How are you doing? How's everything going out there in the middle of the ocean today?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. I'm here with my family, so having a really good time. But I wanted to take this opportunity to join your podcast, Jesse. So thank you really so much for inviting me. And I hope my connection is good and you can hear me well.
You look good, you sound good, you look relaxed, which I would expect sailing around in the sea. Radek, just for the benefit of the audience that maybe hasn't heard about Match Hype, can you give us an abbreviated version of the pitch? Tell them what it is you guys do, where you're at in the market, and just the overall value proposition.
Sure. Match Hype is on the market roughly 1 year, but it's really 4 months since we started rolling out our product, so we're really fresh. What we do is we have a technology that with the help of AI generates videos from sports data. That means we can offer huge coverage of pre-match videos, betting tips, statistics, post-match analysis just from the raw data. And we focus on really good, engaging content automatically created in scale in more than 30 languages.
And can you talk a little bit more about some of the early traction you've seen? I understand things are going pretty well and you're getting very positive response to this proposition. And, there's obviously some pretty impressive technology underneath everything to enable all of this. Just talk about how it's being received so far.
Yeah, so I think there are a lot of challenges in the world of sportsbooks today where when you look at the average user, how they use mobile phones, they spend a lot of time on TikToks, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, watching reels, watching videos, where most of sportsbook today offer, like they remind me sort of like Excel spreadsheets where you just see a lot of data, a lot of numbers. And it's really difficult to have engaging content because frankly, there's so much going on, and to have a coverage for so many events and everything has to be up to date. To do this manually has always been a challenge. There's been the challenge to purchase rights, streaming of different sports is a very costly thing. So we want to tackle this market, and we have a lot of experience from other markets. We've been doing more than 10 years specializing in doing videos for e-commerce, banking, entertainment segments. And then we've seen this opportunity in gaming. So we started the company MatchHype, and we're building a technology that creates these videos at scale. So to jump in, because I didn't answer the question with the direction. So we've, in the first 4 months that we started rolling out the product, secured first clients among sportsbooks, affiliates. Also, like Czech National TV is using our videos. So we're at our early stage now, currently raising our seed round and wanted to roll out and get this to the market.
You guys have some experience doing live pitches at events, and your co-founder Philip presented at the IGB Amsterdam event. I think the plan is for you to present at SBC Summit in Lisbon in a few weeks. How are you preparing for this opportunity? It's 3 minutes, you get up on stage, the time goes very fast. You need to make the most of the time. Every second counts. What are you doing to sort of prepare yourself for another victory at the next competition here?
Yeah, the benchmark is really high. As you mentioned, Philip won the Amsterdam IGB competition, and we are two co-founders of MatchHype. So if I don't make a good performance up there, it's going to be difficult for me in the company. However, Philip is a really good guy, and I'm sure he can get over it if we don't win this time. However, 3-minute pitch is something you have to prepare really word by word up front and sort of know it by heart to really use the time to deliver the message. That's going to be our preparation.
All right, Radek. Well, I will leave you to the floating and relaxing that you're doing out there on the sea right now. Really appreciate you taking a few minutes to introduce MatchHype to the audience, and look forward to seeing you in a few weeks and wishing you all the best at the SBC Summit First Pitch competition.
Thank you, Jesse. See you soon.
And to take us home today on the SBC First Pitch preview episode, we are welcoming in Mark from XGENIA. Mark, first and foremost, congratulations to you and your team for being shortlisted as one of the 5 finalist companies to present at SBC Summit. For the benefit of the audience that may not yet be familiar with XGENIA, can you quickly introduce what it is you and your team are up to, and maybe give us an abbreviated version of the pitch for the audience?
Awesome. So thanks for having me, Jesse. And XGENIA is a AI company, right? What we're predominantly doing is building AI tools for the gambling industry. And first set of tools we have released to the market now and is being deployed is our slot machines generator, which allows you to basically create any slot machine you want by just basically entering the prompt and saying, I want a slot machine that is based on unicorns flying in space with 10 by 5 lines with 96% RTP and scatters and whatever. And we'll go to town and start sort of building that slot machine. And the next set of tools we're sort of starting to work to deploy some AI lawyers and internal training tools specifically for companies. So XGENIA is basically trying to advance the gambling companies' time to market when they're building games and being creative in that. We're starting with slot machines. We plan to go into more advanced games with utilizing AI and obviously sort of building towards that. So that's just a quick and dirty intro to our company.
Yeah, I had the benefit of getting a look at the XGENIA deck as part of your submission. And first of all, very compelling proposition, right? This whole notion of creating content with a simple prompt and generating a full, customized slot game in a very short amount of time. Very compelling for obvious reasons. But another thing that struck me, Mark, is the team. You have a very accomplished team, a bunch of serial entrepreneurs, including yourself, with successful outcomes and successful exits in the past. Talk a bit about how this team came together to start XGENIA, and really how you pulled a team of this pedigree together.
It started basically, we were originally all working in a project. We were sort of coming together slowly. It slowly ramped up together, people introducing people. And we were working on a blockchain project. That was how it sort of originally started, how the team started introducing themselves. And as we sort of saw the crypto crash, we were all thinking, what can we do, right? How can we stay together and come up with a new project? And we looked at a couple of verticals. We have Katie on our team who was just exiting from creating Disco Elysium for the hardcore gamers out there, who that won Best Game of the Year. Myself, I was sort of looking for a new opportunity, and we was looking at the gambling industry, which I hadn't been part of for 6 years. And I wanted to see what new innovations were there. And, we're looking at it together. Looking at it, and we saw that not much had changed in over 6 years. And we said, this is really ripe. If we come together, we have also Mihal, which is coming from the finance industry and understanding numbers really well. And my brother, who's a lawyer, he's a gambling lawyer. So I said, how can we come together and so really change this market? And we sort of looking at innovation from the way we look at innovation in blockchain, so applying it towards how we can be so innovative in gambling. And this is how we sort of started building up, taking our strengths in creating, really compelling games to sort of the industry. And so, we have fun building this company. We've built companies before, so we're not like the average startup founders trying to navigate the world, but we really came together, enjoying it, every moment of it. And we're sort of really excited as we're signing on the sort of first clients that are creating amazing games, right, with the technology. And we're sort of really excited to see what they're going to do with next.
Yeah, super exciting stuff, Mark. And, given that you and your co-founders are experienced entrepreneurs, curious to have you speak to how you're preparing for this pitch competition, right? You get 3 minutes up on stage there. The time goes very fast. Every second counts. And you really want to leave the best impact and best impression you can with the judges. What's your sort of approach going into the pitch and I guess getting prepared for your best chances of success?
Well, what we're going to sort of go in for is we're going to pre-create a video, right? We're going to create sort of an intro to our technology, because nothing speaks like showing what we've built, right? So it will be like quick 30-second video just after introduction to the company. And then we just go in showing the team, the product, and really getting into some focusing on the exciting parts of the pitch, which I recommend to all the founders that will be there who haven't maybe pitched before. And just, delivering excitement in that pitch, keeping up the energy and sort of doing our best to sort of generate that buzz, which we've been creating around the company.
And with that, we have officially completed the SBC Summit First Pitch preview episode. So congratulations once again to all of the finalists on being chosen, and look forward to seeing you, Mark, and the other finalists in a few short weeks in Lisbon.
And looking forward to meeting them also. Always lovely to meet new entrepreneurs.
The Betting Startups podcast is presented by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. 4 out of the top 5 US operators personalize player experiences with Optimove. Learn more about Optimove by requesting a demo at optimove.com/bettingstartups. And if you like what you see, you'll get your first month free.